Welcome to August's Vane Monthly, where I wrap up the recent newsletters we've got from the dev team over the past month or so, talk about what they've been working on, and some of the changes to our favourite zombie survival game. This really isn't one to miss, with a special, exciting announcement coming, and an opportunity for you to get involved too. As always, it's predominantly gameplay footage with some relevant pictures sprinkled in for you to enjoy, whilst I chat things through. Let's get into it. This is going to be another packed monthly. We've got greenhouses, weapon animation upgrades, zombie variants, a new car model, building mechanics, building maintenance, new map areas, new map icons, optimizations, controller support, and, as I say, an exciting announcement coming too. All the footage you see on screen is from the experimental branch, so includes expected changes for 0.025. We'll kick off first and foremost with greenhouses. Around the world of Vane, dotted about, you can find greenhouses, but at present, they have no actual greenhouse functionality, and as a result, whilst you could grow plants in them, they'd operate no differently to other buildings in the world. For 0.025, this changes. DeadZedje has been working on and has now finished the greenhouse systems. This means that they'll be functional and enable players to grow crops in them through the winter, provided the glass is intact, protecting them from harsh conditions year-round. Disseminate has also said that whilst this is only for greenhouses which already exist, there is the intention to allow players to build their own greenhouses in future. However, don't expect this in 0.025. The timeline for this is soon enough. Next up, weapon animations. Boone and Annie have been working on getting more weapon animations done, which will be in for 0.025. Annie's been working on a set of bladed melee animations, specifically for machete-style weapons. You can see these on screen now, which will be a welcome addition and will be a huge contributor to combat feeling more connected and fluid for sure. Additionally, Boone has completed a set of long and blunt melee weapon animations, which will be in the game for 0.0252. You can see these on screen now. It's going to take some time to adjust to the new animations for me. I'm a lover of a baseball bat, and suddenly it all feels so different. Whilst not animation specific, some logic has been added behind the scenes for weight variant items. For example, if you use a dumbbell as a melee weapon, there'll be different swing times and damage dependent on weight. Melee effectiveness will also depend on a certain strength stat to effectively wield heavier items. If you don't meet the required strength, you can use it as a weapon, but it'll be less effective. In addition to melee and bladed weapons, work is continuing on the double-barreled shotgun animations. Round-by-round reload support has been added to the 38 Special, and they're moving on to doing animations for the 57 pistol now. Another thing, and arguably the other most important thing to combat feeling fun and rewarding, is the enemy that you're smashing over the head with a baseball bat. So let's talk zombies. Now, work is progressing on the new character behind the scenes, with Disseminate cleaning up hair and clothing code for when the new character is ready, and he's also been working on porting over weapon attachment positions to ensure that things are held rather than just floating near the new character when it's in. The new models aren't yet in-game, nor the experimental at the time of recording, but this work is progressing. One thing we can see in relation to zombies that will be seen from 0.025 onwards is an increase in zombie variants. Disseminate says there are around 30 different types of zombies now, so there'll be some difference in the zombies you face visually. These, as you can see on screen now, vary in terms of what they're wearing, with some wearing sports equipment, others wearing outdoor clothing types, and some that you can see have worked specific jobs. This really will contribute to the feeling of the game being alive, I'm sure, as this work continues. Additionally, while still on zombies, a lot of work has been put in on their pathfinding and logic. The days of being able to stand in a house whilst laughing at our undead friends as they struggle to navigate doorways are over. With the intelligence of zombie pathfinding inside and through buildings being significantly improved, so going forwards, they'll have an easier time navigating to us. As well as their pathfinding being improved, they'll no longer prioritise animals as much as humans, and they'll no longer collide with one another, so they'll be able to get closer to one another, meaning they'll be able to get through doors and windows easier. They'll also no longer hit and stun lock each other too when swinging at a target. So all in all, they're getting cleverer. They're not going to hurt each other, and they'll be able to pathfind to us more easily. Some welcome changes, even if it is going to make our lives rightfully harder. Now, one thing we've talked about in a couple of the previous monthlies, at least, is cars and some changes coming to the vehicles we see in Vane. The Sukodu Commute will be in for 0.025, and, as you can see on screen now, this is a much more complete real-to-life car than the placeholders currently in-game. It is still work in progress and isn't finished, but it features fully openable doors all round, an openable bonnet or hood, an openable boot or trunk, and an openable gas filling cap too, as well as an opening glove box. All of this means that if you want to take cover behind a door whilst reloading prior to popping your head back up to shoot those terrifying Zeds, you can. I can imagine this being incredibly fun to do in gunfights online. It'll be fun to see it in action. As well as all of the openable doors and animated elements, when inside the speedometer works, and you'll also see the gear stick move as the car changes gear, as well as the wheel turning as you steer. I was a little surprised with it being a manual or a stick shift car, given my understanding of cars in the US being automatic typically, but obviously this is just the start for the vehicles in Vane, and all will be replaced at some point by vehicles with similar animations and features. But it is awesome to see and play with. It's going to be my favourite car for a little while. Ahead of talking about the new map areas, new map icons, optimizations, controller support, and that exciting announcement I'll be making in a little while, let's talk buildings. And a couple of key changes coming to how we build and how we look after buildings in Vane. First things first, building mechanics. Coming as part of 0.025 will be the introduction of some building elements, including support beams, loft floors, and some slatted walls. DeadZedje has been working on these, with the ambition being that players will be able to create player-made standalone structures, for example cabins or player-built houses, but the devs are eager to avoid Rust-style castles and towers that would take away from immersion. Placed objects will now have a physical load-bearing ability to mitigate this, meaning that when that's exceeded, the structure will just collapse. It's still very much work in progress, and some art is still outstanding, but should be in 0.025 if nothing changes. Another key building change that's going to be introduced as part of 0.025 is building maintenance. As well as having a utility cabinet with its flag system to mark out your base and to maintain any player-built structures, any existing world structures will need to be maintained too. This will see the introduction of 4 separate building management aspects added to each building in the game. These will include insulation and HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and dirtiness. The insulation and HVAC element impacting on how well the building can achieve and maintain the desired temperature you set, something that may be less of a concern in the summer months, but something you'll absolutely want to ensure is okay in the winter. The plumbing element, which will affect the quality of the water supply to the building and how much water you can get. The electrical aspect will impact on your power, how reliable it is, and whether you'll get brownouts. And finally, the dirtiness element, which affects the visual condition, chance of illness due to dirt and hygiene, and will also affect character dirtiness too. This will also prevent the damp and mold spots appearing on your walls and ceilings later in the game, provided you keep things clean and tidy. With this new system being introduced, you'll be able to go to houses and salvage parts from systems in houses that you don't need, ensuring that you have the parts you need for your base or house as a result. We've covered loads so far, but still to come. We've got new map areas and icons, updates on optimization, controller support, and the all-important announcement I've got for you at the end of the video too. Quick ask from me, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're finding this helpful. I post regular Vane content, and subscribing to the channel really does help a creator of my size out. Thank you. Right, before we get into optimization, controller support, and the chance for you to get involved in something exciting, let's talk new map area. As part of 0.025, the devs are planning on expanding the map further to the north of Loon Lake and the west of Lion Mountain, potentially going up to the side of Upper Shattergate Lake. What we know about the new area so far is that there's set to be a ski lift added into the game, and from the images we've seen, there also looks to be some interesting points of interest coming too, including a diner that looks as if it has a story to tell, one I'm definitely keen to get to and explore, perhaps more of an indication of what caused the outbreak, who knows. There's also been a screenshot shared of what looks like some sort of a store with a library area and then a counter. I'm intrigued by what this could be, but the work Zoe's been doing on the map sure does fill me with excitement. I'm keen to do more exploring. In addition to the new map area that will be added as part of 0.025, we'll also see the in-game map get a little bit of a shake-up too, as the map icons are set to be refreshed. They're being swapped out for more visible and more contrasting iconography, so that it's a little easier to see points of interest and pull out specific buildings without the icons blending into the map itself. Again, this is a minor but very welcome change. Now let's talk a little about optimization before we get into controller support. The devs are, of course, actively working on optimizing the game, squashing bugs, decreasing the amount of performance needed to run it, and working on ensuring multiplayer becomes a little smoother too. One of the big pieces of work that Disseminate has been working on is HLODs. To bust the acronym here, for those who don't know what HLOD stands for, Hierarchical Level of Detail, which in essence enables a game to still show an object at a distance, but with a lesser performance cost by replacing it with a less performance intensive asset. For example, when driving through a wooded area, you'll see trees and they'll have a lot of detail, but zoom out and in essence the HLODs kick in without being too obvious. They replace what was a higher quality, more performance intensive tree asset with a lower quality one which saves on performance, as you don't need the same level of detail when you're far away. One of the advantages of this is obviously performance optimization, but also that when you're stood at a fire watchtower, you should be able to look out and still see dense forests and landscapes with reduced performance cost. This is only a good thing and should help the game run more smoothly. Another area Disseminate has been tackling is utility cabinet performance, which, whilst any impact for single-player worlds will likely be minor, for multiplayer servers with multiple UCs, this will help with performance. Previously, whenever anything was built or destroyed, every UC would have to recompute to see if they're covering the built or destroyed things to ensure it decayed. As you can imagine, on a multiplayer server, this would have been a big performance cost, causing a bottleneck. This should improve after 0.025. Additionally, there's been some different landscape materials coming as part of 0.025 for snow, with forests and grassy areas, for example, having different snow textures, adding some variety to the snow materials. One quick thing I'll call out before we continue to controller support is more music is being added by Romancer. You can click at the top right of this video to listen to Volume 3 of the Vane soundtrack and some of the new tracks that are going to be in the game. Definitely worth a listen. Right, controller support. Work has continued on this from Disseminate. There's no commitment that I've seen yet that full controller support will be in for 0.025, but there are some advancements you should expect. For 0.025, the key bindings in the settings have been separated out for gamepad and keyboard or mouse, and there's been slider and focus support added to a lot of UI elements. Disseminate does say, though, that there is a lot of work to do to get gamepad support in Vane up to parity with other modern games, given the large amount of UI in Vane, but this work is continuing. Now that's just about everything we need to cover in this monthly, apart from one very exciting thing. In October, we'll be marking a couple of anniversaries, one of which will be my first full year of posting on YouTube, but, more importantly, we'll be marking the first year of Vane being in early access. To mark the occasion, I'm delighted to announce that in September, I will be sitting down with Disseminate, the lead developer for Vane, to have a recorded conversation. This will be released on my channel for you to listen to in October, but crucially, I need your support. So please get down in the comments and put your questions for Disseminate down there. I've also opened up a part of my Discord, which you can join by clicking at the top right, where you can post your questions for him too. I can't promise we'll get everything answered, but I'll try and ensure the most frequently asked questions are posed. I'm super excited for our conversation, and we'll get a chance to hear from the man himself on all things Vane. To make sure you get notified of the video releasing, please do subscribe to the channel and click on that little bell icon. Subscribing helps me enormously. Thank you. If you're not done with your Vane fix, here's a few of the videos I've released on Vane this month, which are available to watch on my channel. Thanks for watching, comment down below, and I'll catch you on Monday for my Let's Play, and on Wednesday for another skull-cracking video. Catch you later.